Hello. Hi. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Cheer Chat. I'll give you a couple minutes to join today. There's so much going on, you guys. I cannot even handle it. So much to freaking talk about. Sorry, I'm a couple minutes late. Hey. Today is the end of the quarter at work. That means the day to just get on my last nerves. So I have some Prosecco. And based on all the things to discuss today, I need the freaking Prosecco. So if you are having something, drink with me, okay? Let me know what you're sipping on. I'm going to just try to take it slow with you guys, even though, it stresses me out when it runs out of time. But, if it does, you guys come back because there's a lot to talk about. And I do plan to just take my time with it. And there's a lot over here. This is my outline. This is YouTube. This is live. This is my recording for the podcast. But, let's just, shall we? This episode is called Try, the song by Pink, which I kind of go back and forth on. It's a little I'm not going to sing for you guys, but it's like a little draggy, waggy in terms of like the way she sings. And I like Pink, but it's fitting. We're talking about trying to cope with the auditions process, trying to get through the times that we're in. We're just trying in general. And I'm going to try to get through this episode. I'm not going to try to get through this bottle of wine, but that's the theme. We're going to go through like a debrief of the virtual auditions process. You guys, thank you so much for writing in and letting me know what worked for you, what didn't, what your fears were, doubts were. Just in general, like how you were feeling about it. I think it's good to get the issues out on the table of what really didn't work so well with the process. I act like there are directors that listen to this. I don't know that they do, but actually there are a couple that do. But I just think it'll be good feedback to just have out there about what it's like from the dancer's perspective to go through the virtual auditions process and what are some things that maybe can be improved upon. And I go back and forth. You guys let me know. We're just going to be talking. Do you like having the episode on Instagram? I tried to tease y'all last time and have a little extra in the actual episode. Again, it stresses me out when it's like going to run out in an hour, like gives you like 5 seconds to figure it out. But I do have an interview, though, for the last half of the episode. This is supposed to be just cheer chat, but I do have an interview with Nicole Smith. I swear I saw her join. So welcome, Nicole, if you're there. She is an amazing author and professional cheerleader. She's done a ton of auditions and she wrote a book about, her journey and has like just an awesome program to help people get through cuts, right? This episode is just going to be a lot. We're talking about virtual auditions. We're going to be talking about cuts because I'm cut up about some cuts that just recently happened over the weekend with the Oakland Raiders. But there will be more on the other side that you'll get to hear tomorrow in the episode. But I hope y'all saw the story. We got to talk about, hold on, let me just sit because otherwise this will just sit here. So if you have something, grab it. I'll have to take that out of the episode. That's not okay. All right. I put it in the story. Let's just deal with this part first, right? Because it's so disturbing that, and it's in alignment with what I was working on over the weekend, which was the statement about where we are with race relations and just kind of like how we feel about diversity in our own industry. And so there was a very, very disturbing post. Trey Songz, I don't know how, okay, so apparently Trey Songz is, and a couple other celebrities have been on a kick of just like putting people on blast and helping people hold others accountable for things that they've done that have been racially unjust. And lo and behold, there's something that touches our space. So I'm going to do some reading, follow along. I posted in the story so that you guys can have an opportunity to see what was going on. So I don't have to give the complete play-by-play, but there is a woman by the name of Yane Coleman. Hopefully I'm saying her name correctly. She was a dancer for the 76ers, the Philadelphia 76ers dance team. And she posted a very, very, very disturbing video that I would play, but I have no idea audio-wise how it will work, but you'll have a link to it. Hey, sorry, I'm saying hi to somebody on YouTube. You guys talk to me. This is going to be all interrupted. I'll edit it and clean it up for the episode. But yeah, we're going to make some noise today because this is something where we all kind of have to get together to say this is not okay, especially, it's in our space. And this is probably not the first and only time that something like this has happened. So I'm just going to share her post. Well, actually, should I talk about the video? Let's talk about the video and then I'll talk about her post. The video is this woman who is in a stretch limousine with all her bitches. This will be cursing, you guys, so just whatever, okay? Anyway, she's on some real rah-rah, loud and proud, just really disgusting like attitude of talking all this shit about this girl and saying that she was gonna come, visit a hood in West Philly just to come beat her ass, talking about her using tampons, it was so vile. It was really disgusting, okay? It was really distasteful, disrespectful, and racially toned. And I'm just gonna read, but she's just like bragging about it. And she's in a limo with a bunch of people who are apparently affiliated and associated with the team. And they're just kikiing and laughing it up in the background, which makes it even more disturbing. But I'm gonna read her post. She said, I was scared to release this because I was bullied and racially targeted by my 76ers NBA teammates and former teammates. I went to my coach, Dana Halfdead, I do not know how to say that name, but Dana, and the Sixers organization, crying out for help so many times. I sent the video above of me being racially profiled, bullied, and threatened to my coach, Lara Price, who's the 76ers Senior Vice President of Business, and HR seeking help, and nothing was done. So she went through the channels that you're supposed to go through if you're experiencing some bullying or just things that are just absolutely not okay. You would think that by taking those steps that something would be done, right? Even as a pro cheerleader, that there would be some sort of like assistance for you. I shouldn't even be providing my 2 cents in commentary, but whatever. Okay, back to the post. She said they would move my things into the bathroom stall for me to get ready for games. They would make fun of my pictures in a group chat, talking about my Black features and send me videos threatening my safety. I did not want them to run me away from a dream I always wanted to accomplish, so I tried my hardest to remain strong through it all. I went through this for 3 years. I'm a pause. Okay, so we're talking about just literally being bullied while you're on the team for 3 seasons and trying to stomach that and not let it break you, not let it change you and change your dreams and make you give up doing something that you love. So you put up with it, you try to talk to the freaking HR, you try to escalate to the coach, and nothing happens. And meanwhile, they're just having the greatest time of their life while you're miserable. Not cool. She said, when I auditioned for my 4th year, this group of girls called me the night before on the phone saying, your Black ass will not be coming back. I still went to the tryouts, and unfortunately, that was the end of my 76ers dance team career. It didn't stop there. They proceeded to harass me by calling and leaving hateful racial videos saying they would come to the slums of West Philly ghetto and physically harm me. I'm not from the ghetto and never lived in the ghetto, but because I'm Black, they decided to say this laughing and giggling. They went around asking about me, finding out where I worked, and calling my employment, saying things to get me fired. It took a lot for me to release this. I would hate for this group of women who are still working, and connected to the Sixers organization, Flyers, ice hockey dance team coach, to hurt another young, talented Black girl. Sadly to say, I let this racial bullying incident from this group of women deter me from my dancing career. And then she called out the people in the video. The women in the video are Annie Weiss, I don't know how to say her name, also known as Annie Thurman. Her business page, she called out all these accounts are like turned off, so it doesn't even make sense to read them. But she basically called out Melinda, Nicole, Carrie, the 76ers current dance team coach, Danielle, the Flyers ice team coach, Erica, Val, Julie, Lauren, and her former coach, Dana. They are all in this video, in this stretch limo. I mean, the woman was loud and totally had the center of attention. So I don't know who can say they were in the limo and not paying attention or didn't know what was going on. But nothing was done. And this woman gets cut in the auditions process. And that's just a way to kind of like, make you go away. If you guys listen to Freedom, the episode where I interviewed the other African-American pro cheerleaders, they were all in the NFL. I mean, this is kind of what we discussed as well in terms of kind of just being weeded out in the auditions process. So you speak up, you try to address certain things that are just not okay. And what's the easiest way to get rid of you? If you're hell bent on not doing anything, the auditions process, you get cut. This was so appalling and disgusting. And the worst part about it is just knowing that things like this have probably gone on for several other teams. The dynamics between, this is just like mean girl shit, bullying shit, racial. It's all the worst that you can imagine of having to deal with. And especially if there aren't a bunch of you, like you're just kind of getting picked on as one of the few Black people on the squad. And it was just so disgusting, literally disgusting. I don't know how Trey Songz got a hold of it. I don't know how it escalated from there. People have their receipts. And of course, me being a lawyer, I understand that, two sides to every story. You don't know what else may have transpired outside of that video. However, the video speaks pretty loudly about this person's character. And apparently this woman had posted about Black Lives Matter. That's the ironic thing. But I just want to pause to say, the statement that I was talking about drafting, kind of addressing both squad dynamics with coaches in our space around race and how people of color are treated on teams. This just reinforces that the shit is necessary, right? Like this type of thing happens. Thank goodness it got the attention that it did. Otherwise, this woman, there's no justice. Like she's off the team, she's cut, and they're just, like I said, living life, auditioning, and who knows how they'll treat the next Black girl that comes to the door. It's just like, it's disgusting. And it actually takes people having the courage to speak up about it, risking it all. Like, what if Trey Songz, I do love Trey Songz, but anyway, what if he didn't post it? And this girl actually has a decent amount of followers already. It's not even about like, oh, I'm going to do this for fame to try to blow up. No, this is like your career that you've worked so hard for, just being obliterated because you don't make the team, knowing how poorly you've been treated. And you've tried to do something about it. Like you actually tried to go to HR, your coach. How is everybody laughing and acting like this is okay? Like, I just don't get it. But I'm just saying this to all of you. People better get on notice. Like this type of stuff, I don't know how the timing of it. I don't know if this was several years ago. There was one of her posts that had like the dates of the email from HR where they're like, we're going to get in contact with you, but never did or didn't do anything. But regardless, it happened and there were no consequences except this woman getting cut. And so I just think people have to understand that sometimes people do keep receipts and sometimes this shit comes to light. It's always going to come around full circle, you guys. Like, we all maybe talk shit with our little circle, and maybe you have people you liked or didn't like, but I was just appalled at how bold she was about it. And like, you're just talking all of this shit. And then when it gets called to light, you go running, you turn off your freaking Instagram, you shut down all your accounts. Like, what is that? Like, what is that? It's so cowardly. And it's just like, if people don't want to deal with their real true biases, their just not like, it's just about being a good person at this point. Like that was just some real shitty, grimy stuff to say about a person and do it so boldly on video, like just giving zero fucks. Well, don't hide now. Like literally do not hide now. And I just think for our space, it sucks that it's like a pro team, in the NBA. I always think, the sisterhood, because the teams are so much shorter. They're not shorter. They're smaller. That there's an opportunity to develop those friendships and that sisterhood. But, I think the town hall that we had definitely brought it to light. And the episode that we did called Freedom, that shows that that's not always the case. People are often treated poorly, people of color. And, when you try to do something about it, this is how you are treated as a result. You're cut from the team. You're viewed as someone complaining more than likely. You're difficult. It's condoned. And I think this shit is over. Like, time's up on all of this shit. I'm sorry. Like, again, I'm not, Trey Songz, and I'm not the pro cheerleading police, but I do think we have to kind of understand that something like this going on is not okay. And to the extent there are some others out there who have experienced similar heinous ass bullying that's just been like you've tried in your own right to do something about and nothing's worked, we got to start holding people accountable. I mean, I don't know how you guys feel about like cancel culture, and I'm not really for that per se, but I am for people being held accountable for their shit. Like, you're not gonna trust, if it's me, you're not gonna fuck over me, and I'm just gonna keep it pushing while you just excuse me, while you just live life and I'm cut from the team, losing out on my dream. It's not fair. It's not right. I would have a hard time swallowing that. And I just think we're at a time, especially right now, where people are fed up with certain things and not going to take the shit anymore. And what I would love to see is for us to kind of support people who are in this situation. I mean, I've talked to you guys, like I said, offline, and I know that people have been having their struggles with their teammates for different things around Black Lives Matter, around how their teams have handled the situation. And this is just a very real issue. And we have to support one another. And if you are one of those people on these teams that, like old girl in this video, check yourself before you wreck yourself. I mean, this chick had a business, you can just like have everything disappear just like that. You went viral for being a vile ass human being. Like, come on, do better. And these organizations absolutely need to do better. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, to the extent these allegations are actually, true, and I'm not saying that they're not, but hell yes, the 76ers organization needs to look into this and make some swift ass cuts, like cuts of the management. How do you have all these coaches on the damn, what do you call it, the limo, and nobody's actually curbing the behavior? Nobody's doing anything? Like, I'm not understanding that at all. Like, I don't know who these people were in the video. I don't know who was who, but that can't go on in your presence as a coach. Like, really? Not okay, man. Not okay. What do you guys have to say about it? I mean, I'll pause and drink a little bit, but I do have something I did want to discuss today that I think is perfectly timed to help people figure out how to deal with this. I'll pause for comments. Anyone? I need this wine. Okay, well, there we go. I'll keep it pushing. I wanted to say that you guys remember the town hall that I told you guys about? It was diversity in dance, and it was put on by Toya Ambrose and Wanda Ware, who are former NFL and NBA dancers. They also coach and they judge in the competitive cheer space. And so as a follow-up to that town hall, they had like coaches from all over the country, there were actually other countries involved as well. I'll get to your question, Bridget. But they actually put together as a follow-up to that a seminar. It's like a 6-month diversity program for these coaches to actually participate in so that they can get trained on diversity and inclusion issues. The workshop is called Include. And I, shared it in the story. I've reached out to them so I can help promote it. Maybe you guys can like FYI to your directors to say, maybe this would actually be beneficial to go to. It's a need. Clearly it's a need. So Bridget asks, have you spoken about your experience on Seagulls as a Black dancer? Yes, I think I've pretty much throughout, since the podcast started, in some ways touched on, here and there, just what it felt like for me. And yeah, I spoke on it a little bit. I wish I could name some episodes, but I would say listening to the Freedom episode, I mean, I really was thankful for the women that joined me in that conversation, because it just brought up a lot. And I really try to give people the floor to talk. But, there were aspects of the way that I felt I was treated, it wasn't really as blatant, nothing this crazy ever. But, you know, I just think there's a lot of like microaggressions that I experienced. And, you know, there's just issues when, especially when there isn't a lot of representation. And if you are vocal or, you know, you just kind of feel like there's ways of muzzling you at certain points. And speaking out about things that were important to me, you know, I mean, I think there were efforts by my director at the time to try to do something about the lack of diversity. Sometimes I just wish it was a hell of a lot more. And again, like if you try to hold, like one of the things that I wanted to do was like holding workshops in communities of color so that more people would show up at auditions, because there's this kind of circular argument of like, well, nobody comes to the auditions. And so therefore, you know, I pick a squad based on who's there. And so I mentioned, you know, maybe just holding like a clinic. I know you go to the University of Washington or different schools to recruit, like maybe you can do something in the community since you only have to be 18 to make the squad. And, you know, when it finally got put together, it was like the weekend before, or sometime during the week, the same week of auditions. So it really felt like a half-ass effort. And I went because I really wanted to show up and show that, you know, that yes, there's a desire for people like that look like me to be a part of the team. But, you know, pros cheer style, as you guys all know, is very particular and specific, and it's not something that people necessarily been exposed to. So I don't feel like it gave them an ample opportunity to actually prepare. And that was a little disheartening to see that connection for people where they kind of realize, oh, like I'm not ready. But at the same time, it could be inspiring. But I saw the life sucked out of the room in that way. And that was something that I just think we could have done a better job if we were serious about showing up in that way and attracting people of color to our program. But, you know, I can go on and on. I mean, I think there's just ongoing conversations about this. I know I've sprinkled it in throughout other episodes, but freedom definitely was one that I know we talked about it as a group, and there were just a lot of commonalities. Yeah. Oh, thank you. I was trying to make sure you were treated right. No, I mean, there were challenges on everybody experiences challenges as a pro cheerleader. I'm not trying to, there's not like everything's about race. But trust, there would have been, you know, the biggest thing that I mentioned to somebody earlier today was just that, you know, the biggest issue was around representation. And all the years that I had auditioned, there was only one African-American cheerleader on the team the 4 times before I made it. And then, you know, I had my rookie year and then I was cut. I don't know why, but I mean, you know, not like I'm perfect, but I don't know why I was cut. And they didn't select any Black cheerleaders at first. And that was that turned into a really, really ugly stink on social media. People were complaining about that. People were mentioning me by name, like she was a good role model. She was this, she was that. Why didn't she make the team? It makes no sense. And then people were arguing, well, there must not have been any talent. This is all in social media in the comments, but people were saying, well, there must not have been any talented Black women there. And that's why they didn't make the team. So it was just like it was just ugly. And it didn't help the sting from not making the team. But then they ended up adding 2 people after the fact, 1 Black, 1 white, and the person wasn't me, it was a rookie. So it was just things like that happen that you're just kind of like, really? But, you know, that's pretty much all I can really think of offhand. But nothing where I was bullied by my teammates. No, it was just more a question of like fairness and really wanting things to be kind of like just a better representation of the diversity that we did have on the team. And inclusion in that way. And that was not always the case. So that's something that I think everybody experiences on teams where there's maybe, you know, favoritism or just like a narrow scope of what's considered like the image of your squad and who's worthy of certain opportunities. And it wasn't really like we Black people were like, we couldn't get a Black girl on show group for the freaking longest. And it's like, really, you know, stuff like that, you know. But to get, and let me know if I missed any other comments, I hope not, but, you know, to get back to the program, the Include program, I just think, you know, for 6 months to have like a weekly or monthly focus on certain topics, I'm just going to read the little blurb from their website because, again, I think it's important and spread the word. It's not really intended, I think, for the teams themselves to actually go. But again, if you can get your director on board, it's probably a good idea to spread the word about it. It's intended for coaches to build their programs to be a collective representation of diversity and inclusion and proactively develop a culture of anti-racism on their team. The time is now to build a team with diverse perspectives, a team where respecting each other's differences is the norm, a place where dancers of all colors can feel at home in their skin, a culture of inclusivity free from negative stereotypes and awkward conversations, be on the right side of history. So I think we don't have anything like this. You know, some of these teams do not have like a diversity program or diversity officer and training for people. So, you know, whether they think they need it or not, they all should freaking go. That's my 2 cents. But the lessons include, why is having diversity important? How do you include diversity in your program? How do you cooperate as a diverse team? And how do you use your diverse team members? Okay, so there's help out there, and there's plenty of other shit you can read, you know, watch some movies, like educate yourself on, you know, how to manage a diverse group of people. That's what the directors, I think, should really be tasked with doing. And then for people who just need to act right and do right, you better get your life together real quick. You can't just post it. You can't just do shit like that. Like, it's just not okay. And for everybody who co-signs on it, laughs about it, doesn't do shit about it, you're just as complicit. So get it together. That's my, now I sound like somebody's mama, but for real, like, that's not acceptable, period. So with that said, I think I'm not done ranting. Okay, now we're gonna transition. Oh my God, buckle up, you guys. Okay, we're gonna transition to the virtual auditions. I did see Nicole that's in there. Nicole, I got like about 5 more minutes or so of just talking about my feelings. This is kind of like a, you know, a discussion for the vets out there who have gone through the process, who are still in the process, and, you know, just a little message that I think maybe it's geared towards the directors, I don't know. But here's my deal. You know, I understand that like auditions happen, not everybody makes it back. Sometimes it's something that you may have done during the season, maybe got in some trouble, maybe weren't a good teammate, not a great dancer, weren't prepared, didn't have your shit together. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm sure that happens, and that's maybe a reason why you know, that might factor into you not making it back. Okay, that's a disclaimer. But, you know, right now we're in the middle of a pandemic, and I'm just going to speak about, you know, it's not just the Raiders. I mean, there are other teams that have, you know, kind of dragged their vets through, you know, having to start at the beginning of the process with auditions. It just seems like they're really struggling with having a very honest conversation. And I don't really understand why that's the case. So like, if you have rookies or vets on your team as a director that you have some feedback for about what you really want to see from them to actually want to welcome them back on the team, like, what is so hard about having a conversation, like an actual, honest, respectful, and direct conversation as a part of an exit interview of what you expect from them, so that they are put on notice, they have an opportunity to show up at auditions with the right attitude, with the right work ethic, with the right technique that you wanted them to work on, fill in the blank. But I'm taking issue with, like, if you know, okay, let me just, one more sip, you guys. It's just like, if you know you don't want somebody back on your team, or there's a good chance that if it came down to it, that you're not really going to pick that person, like, your mouth's not broken. I don't understand, like, what's so hard about communicating, right? You don't have to put your whole vets through an auditions process if you know that you want to read out a couple of people. Like, call a couple of people to the side and just let them know that for these reasons, or we want to see some fresh faces, or appreciate you for what you've done. You've been a great rookie. It's been great having you for 6 years. Now we're kind of over it and wanting to kind of like shake things up out of respect for you and for what you've done for the program. And, you know, I'm just going to share this with you openly so that, A, You don't put yourself through, I mean, there's not even about like your pride, but just like saving face a little bit. Like if I've had an honest conversation with my director, she pointed out some shit that I kind of can't really deny, like, you're kind of right about that. I make a decision at that point about whether I'm going to do what I need to do to like get my spot back, to really show this person that I have taken your constructive feedback into consideration. I've applied it, and here I am, the new and improved version of me. And, there's no guarantees, but I'm going to go through this process well aware, on notice of what is expected of me. That's not that hard to do. But you have people during a freaking pandemic, okay, who have spent months on end preparing, waiting around for okay, when this episode comes out, you guys just bear with me if my volume's off the Richter. Let me just calm the hell down. But they've been waiting, without a lot of information, trying to like base their life decisions about potentially moving. They're investing so much energy into this process, trying to stay ready and be ready for whatever this virtual auditions process is going to be like. This involves like choices around your job, trying to keep your job like up to date around what's going on with you. And, that puts you in a really uncomfortable position, especially if they're trying to be accommodating. If you don't really have an update for them and you're trying to keep that flexibility open for them, you're talking about moving. You're talking about traveling for a finals during a pandemic to a place where they ain't wearing masks and stuff, and it's just risky, okay, trying to finish your auditions process. And like, what the hell? Like, how is that right when you could just spare people all of the freaking agony, the work ethic, the hours and hours preparing, the months and months of preparing? Like, let them know something. Even, like, I can't. I'm going to read this because I'm going to calm my ass down. Yeah, my director emailed me during my off season several years ago and was just straight up about what her expectations were for me following the season. It was the best I felt moving forward. Boom. And trying out the following season, because it showed me she wanted me on the team as long as I could meet certain expectations during the off season. Bam! Like, that's not hard to do, people. It's really, really not that hard to do. Like, I just don't understand. Like, it's just that fake, it's just like not an effective way of communicating as a leader, where you can't have, those tough conversations with your team. And that goes for any kind of job, right? Like, an effective manager is going to sit down and in your evaluation and kind of let you know strengths, weaknesses, opportunities to change, improve, blah, blah, blah. And it should just be a conversation that goes both ways, of where you can defend yourself or try to show what you've been doing to try to address that. Yeah, it's just feedback, and it's just words, and it's just supposed to be constructive to help people out of respect. Someone said feedback would be excellent, even if you're doing well. Performance reviews are a thing in other jobs. Yeah, it's a thing. They actually happen. They even have 360 reviews where you can actually give your to your manager. That'll never probably happen in our lifetime here, but so I love that you're acknowledging how much better this would be at any point, especially now during a pandemic. Yes, when tryouts are getting drawn out so long. Woo! Well, that is the main reason why I'm pissed, because if I were in anybody's shoes, right, and I, had a rookie team, I tried to prepare myself the best to show up and be my best self for finals. I have an exit interview that doesn't, gives me a couple things to work on, but maybe really isn't like as honest or direct as it maybe needed to be. But I'm going off of that feedback, and I'm thinking I have a legitimate chance of trying to make this team again. And I go after months of trying to be in limbo, trying to stay in shape, working out, freaking eating right, trying to dance so much that it's not even fun anymore. And then I save money that I really don't need to be spending on just frivolous travel, because nobody's traveling. There's no second freaking stimulus check. People may or may not have jobs anymore. Like, just have some kind of like sense of respect for for humanity, and what people are actually going through right now. It's very, very uncertain times. And that freaking $1,000 that somebody spent on airfare, hotel, freaking audition outfits, coaching for solos, that could have been better spent on money saved away for whatever's going on in their life. So it's just like, out of respect for people, can you just communicate and be straight up with people? I just think it'll go a long way. And it might sting at first to hear something that you really, maybe you don't think the critique is fair or whatever. Or if you choose to gamble with it and you feel like you showed it and they disagree and they cut you, at least you kind of go into it feeling like, I did my best. And if this is it, then I can walk away with my head held high. There's no shame. There's no confusion. There's no, especially because here I go in a little bit about the Raiders, but it's like they have 20 rookies and 12 vets or something like that. But some shit like that. And if to the extent that it was a pretty well known amongst management or whoever the decision would have come from, that they wanted to do an overhaul and have a very much Vegas-based team for this new squad moving down to Las Vegas. Hey, every goddamn vet that you knew that was going to go through the auditions process, I just think you could have done the courtesy of just having a conversation so that people knew where they stood and they could make an educated decision about how to devote their resources. Like, that's my beef. There were some, vets that were cut that I was just very, very flat out disappointed to see. And I don't have all the answers. I don't know all the scoop and whatever. But again, it's just like transparency can go a long way. And this industry in particular is always on the secret incognito tip. Like, everything's got to be a goddamn mystery. No, it doesn't. It really doesn't. Okay, shit. Any other feedback? God dang it, you guys. Talk to me. I'm going to finish some more. And then I'm going to, what time is it already? I'm going to share, the pros and cons that I've heard from you guys about this virtual auditions process. It's going to sound like I'm rattling them off, but I'll expand maybe a little bit more in the actual episode. And then we might actually have to come back, Nicole. I see that you requested me, but like, y'all will come back, right? Give me a little heart or some shit if you're going to come back. And then we'll go through this list and, Okay. Let's just go. You guys want to go through the list? Okay. I'm going to take that as a yes. All right. There weren't a lot of pros. This is our brief of the virtual auditions process. Okay. Okay, I'm getting some thumbs up. Thank y'all. Talk to me. But yeah, we're just going to talk about like the feedback that I heard from you guys. I'm always trying to put myself in your shoes to understand what you're going through. And here's what I heard from people, and you guys can chime in if I'm missing anything. But the pros, let's start there because there's a lot more cons. So there was a common theme of people saying that they learned a lot and improved as a dancer from watching yourself on camera so much. Like, to the extent that wasn't part of the way that you practice or what you were used to, you're creating these audition submissions, and it actually takes a lot of takes to get to that perfect shot. But by watching and critiquing yourself, like, that helps you figure out what you need to work on, probably better than somebody, than just dancing on your own and just seeing yourself in the mirror, but not really like watching what you need to fix and improve upon. So that was something that people said was good. Yay. The chance to classes with a variety of teams and choreographers to prepare for auditions. This was something that wasn't available before. So people were appreciative of just the ability to train with different people and learning about new people to learn from. The ability to audition from home and not having to travel unless you're going to finals. But, for the most part, you're at home and you don't have to pack up everything that you own to get to these auditions. You don't have to worry about forgetting anything. Like, everything's at home. You have everything you need, and you're able to have that flexibility. And you're able to audition for teams that you maybe wouldn't have otherwise. So that's good. And just that you had multiple tries to be able to get that perfect video, and maybe more time than normal to more time than you would normally do to like learn choreography. And, for people who are slow learners, I know some of the audition submissions were timed, but it did give you an opportunity to digest the choreography, practice it, and take those videos. I mean, I saw people who wrote in about like 30 plus times to get like that perfect video to submit for auditions. So we'll just start with that one and move on over to the cons, because that very same thing ended up being a con for people because, you know, you strive for perfection so much, and we are definitely our worst critic in terms of finding something. Like I would have found something in every video that I would have not have liked. Like, damn it, everything else was perfect, but then look at my toe in my kick. Like, it looks like I would have probably found something. And so trying to get yourself audition ready with your hair, your makeup, everything on point, I don't know, less than 10 takes, only to be like, you know, at your 20th video, having to like retouch up everything, and then, you know, just kind of feeling like nothing's really good enough to submit. I heard that a lot from people, that it really just, you're dancing, but you're just actually, it's not even fun anymore. Like, you're trying to keep up your personality and selling it, and it's just really, really draining and frustrating for people. The process is long as F, okay? Like, it's longer than normal on every front whatsoever. Training camps are long. I mean, we're talking about 3 months for the Vikings. I've heard from other people who have just been in like major limbo. And it's just like, you kind of burnt out, you know, your life is on hold and you're not really as motivated. And like I said, dancing is not feeling as fun anymore. You're not dancing for an audience when you're performing before your phone or your computer. And so it's a disconnect, and it's not really enough to feed that fuel that helps you feel motivated to perform. So I heard that a lot. It's just really, really effing long. Like, auditions process usually is like a couple weeks, and then you kind of know your team, unless you were a team that traditionally held training camp, but it's just too damn long. Okay, so what else do we have here? Because so many people had the ability to audition, the numbers made it almost feel like a lottery system, someone said. Like, you weren't really being seen or judged because of the sheer number of submissions. So if there's like, oh, we've had like 1,000, you know, applicants, when we never really have that much. We only have 200 normally. Okay, well then who's watching all these damn videos, and how are they really able with a fresh eye to see your submission and actually really, really see you? Like, there's a burnout on both sides, right? And so just feeling like it was really luck of the draw of who got noticed was a concern. Just, yeah, second guessing yourself and whether you're good enough. Somebody mentioned it feels like we went from, you know, normal approach your auditions almost like a So You Think You Can Dance audition, where it's like all these crazy ass tricks and weird things to kind of get noticed, because people are struggling to show their personality in these videos, and it just didn't feel like their normal auditions process of what usually would sell in person. You know what I mean? And then, you know, people mentioned not being able to meet and interact with other people as part of the auditions process. You know how you meet somebody when you show up for auditions in person, and you form friendships, you help each other out, you meet and you practice, you get to ask questions. There's this sense of community, we're all in this shit together. And, you know, it's really isolating to be in this pandemic and quarantined and not really being able to interact with people and learn from other people. So that kind of was a con and sucked too. Just that the virtual interview process is really not a good way to really read people. Like, do you really, really know people from the virtual interviews? They're not in person. You know, the age of social media, people can like record themselves doing a video and make it seem like their life is one whole way and be a kind of a different person in real life. And I just think you're having a hard time showing who you are because you're just really interacting with that little camera lens, or, you know, it just, you don't really know what you're getting from people or how you're coming off in video. So people didn't really like that. Let me know if I'm missing anything. That it was also hard for judges to watch everyone on Zoom and have people stand out as they would in a room. You know, like somebody wrote in and saying that like they usually learn choreography pretty quickly, and that would always be like an advantage in the auditions process in person because they're able to kind of showcase that, and you don't really have that same edge with the virtual process. And if you're looking at a bunch of different bodies moving on Zoom, you know, how do you pick who you're actually watching? You know, some people Zoom is just what we got, but Zoom is not doing the most. That was a big complaint too. The music challenge is a slow internet connection, and the delays in using that that system is not the best. It's not intended for dance or music, so it kind of has its limitations. And then just that it's been hard to maintain a fitness regimen, having to change that from being in the gym to at home and dancing around in your living room, and just kind of just balancing it all to really kind of have your fitness, having your dance, and it's all like confined to your home for the most part, that people just really struggle with staying motivated to keep their body right for such a long period of time. But like really, like if you make the team, you're gonna have to keep this up. So it's just like you're gonna do it somehow. But it's just really challenging when you don't know if you made the damn team or not. Like if you know you made the team, then you just kind of like it's a new surge of energy through your veins, right? But if you're still in limbo trying to figure out if you freaking made it or not, like it's not cool. Somebody said I really liked how I could play the video over and over to see little details, like if feet were beveled or flat, and if hands were in blades, fists. Yes. But then it took me like 3 hours because I kept rewatching. I didn't even think about the time of watching all the footage, right? Like if you, just the stop and go of it all. Like you dance your ass off, you're looking back at the video and you're trying to critique it. Like it's just time consuming and a lot. Thanks for that comment, Bridget. Just people were just commenting that it's just been hard to balance being in a pandemic, your work, your family, like everything else that's going on, and maintaining the stamina for auditions for this period of time. And then just people saying like they don't feel prepared for the season because of all the uncertainty. Like just feeling like you're kind of really, really behind or really going to get crushed once the team is announced and you know more about when you're actually going to be on the field. Just that kind of stress of not knowing. And the biggest point that everybody had some shit to say about was just that the lack of sufficient planning, providing updates and communication overall throughout the virtual process, the virtual auditions process, just isn't working for people. Keeping people in the dark or in limbo. You can't really make plans in your personal life if you don't know that you're like waiting for this email to drop of like an update of what's going on with auditions. And it's really hard to plan around if you don't know when that's coming and you're having to kind of just be in limbo. And I mean, for some people that are still waiting, like whether it's semifinals or finals, like some teams haven't announced shit. Maybe they took their whole squad from the prior year and they just haven't even made a public announcement of it. I just feel I was really worried about last episode because I was just so on like a good one about sitting the season out. But I do think that, there's just something to be said of like, because of the lack of communication, what if you've been doing all of this preparation and putting your life on hold only to find out like, the 49ers announces tomorrow that they're not holding auditions at all. Like, how are you going to feel? Like, that's the shit that's just not really that great about this process. It's just the lack of updates and the lack of information. Maybe they've had 1 or 2 team meetings and that's it, or if they are continually trying to meet twice a week and you just don't even know if you're on the team yet and you're investing all this time and energy, it's just enough already. Like it's a lot. I mean, I think that kind of covered the pros and cons. I mean, I think I just want to say to everybody who's gone through this process, you have a lot to be proud of. This is some unprecedented shit and you've been sticking in there and hanging in there and giving your best towards it, and not everybody's cut out for this mess, like myself included. I think it would have been really, really challenging. And you've been sticking with it. So cheers to you for that. I mean, I think it hasn't been easy. It's been grueling. And I think, you guys are probably reaching a point where you want to just know what the hell's what, right? And whether that means that you've gone through the process and were cut, or, like you've made a decision to withdraw yourself from the process. I'm not trying to encourage people to do that, but just know that you've given it your best, okay? Like you really have, and you've made the best of a very, very challenging situation. And, you got to do what's best for you. And you've learned a shit ton throughout this process that you can absolutely carry forward with you next year when it's hopefully not this way. But either way, I think you just kind of have to like, just keep perspective of everything. There are some pros. We didn't have that many of them, but there were some. And when you think about how far you've come from whenever you started this process, this journey might have been in February, January for you, but at least in the last 3 months, you have to look at your growth and just really pat yourself on the back for it because you've made it through some very, very difficult times. I'm going to pause. I know I'm going to run out of time. Nicole, I'm so sorry. Please join me if it's not too late over there. We're going to Nicole's background and her and something that a program that she's put together to really help people with cuts. And I think there are people who are experiencing the stages of being cut right now. And I think there's a lot more support out there for you than you think. And sometimes you just got to talk to people who get it and know what this is really like. And come back. I'm going to end it and then just try this whole comeback shit and then bring Nicole in. Okay. Y'all just have to wait as I struggle bus. I'm so not a social media person. But I'm going to try. Welcome back. Hopefully I did that right. I'm going to stop yapping and allow Nicole to request and to join so that we can talk about her background, my auditions queen. Let me know if you guys have anything else to add to the conversation while I sip on a little bit more wine. Love to hear from you. It was a pretty comprehensive list, but maybe I left something out. Any perspective? Oh, somebody did want to mention just kind of like, you know, the lack of information about what's going on with NBA auditions. And, you know, I kind of just shared that I would think that because, you know, we're about to have this Orlando experiment and there's a lot to be learned from how that all goes, that, you know, for the teams that aren't going to Orlando, that maybe they feel like it's business as usual to move forward with the auditions process. So far, there's only one team, the Atlanta Hawks dancers, that have started their auditions process. But I would imagine that the other teams that are still playing to finish out the prior season are going to just wait, you know, until their season actually ends before they kind of start their auditions process. And by the time Orlando happens, I'm sure there will be a good sense one way or the other of what the 2020/21 season will look like. Because we're talking about, like, you know, being in a bubble and trying to have a season, but if there really is going to be a 2020/2021 season, they kind of got to see how Orlando goes, and it may not make sense to hold auditions yet until you at least see how that goes in Orlando. So hopefully the NBA teams will do a much better job of like giving updates just for people who are interested in their auditions process. Maybe they can, like, you know, establish a mailing list so that people who are interested in auditioning can just like get updates that way. So you're not having to like worry about posting on social media. You just kind of have the people that you know are committed to wanting to audition for your team, and you can have a way of communicating with them when there's something to update people on. I mean, hell, sometimes it's just like, I don't have an update, but hang in there. I don't know. Something would probably be better than nothing, but, you know, we'll have to see. It's probably a very difficult situation to manage if you don't have a lot of information, right? But I think they have to get through Orlando before they can even commit to an audition process, unless their season is already over. Maybe they felt like they wanted to just move forward and be ready, but hang in there. I know there's not a lot of info, but I can understand a little bit more for NBA why they would be waiting. All right, so if Nicole, if you joined again, please request me. I'll shut up talking and let you in. And like I said, with these lives, you guys, I'm, you know, really struggling with technology sometimes, but if you want to join me ever, you're more than welcome. So I'm gonna bring in Nicole now. And take a sip. Did I do this right? Hi, Nicole. How are you?
I am good, girl. I'm tired, but I'm good.
Tired? Okay, hold on. I'm going to turn up the volume here a little bit. Thank you so much for joining and putting up with my mouth running for a while there. Do you have anything you want to add based on all the chit chat so far?
You know, there's just so much to agree with you on from what the young lady from the 76ers had to go through. Like, that's absolutely nuts. And the fact that she, and that's why people have a hard time going through the channels, because they go through the channels and nothing gets done. Mm-hmm. But then if you try to do your own thing, then you're the angry Black woman, and it's like you can't get away. So that's tragic. And then the whole, I just love all of it, just the communication. Like, if you know good, you do not want to bring me back, just tell me. I'll be upset. It'll hurt. But at least I didn't spend all that money. I didn't go through all those classes. I didn't, spend on hair, makeup, weave, all of that. At least let me know. You have the courtesy as a human being to let me know. Yeah. And yes, of course, it'll suck and I'll be mad, but I have to at least respect the fact that you didn't go through all of, especially if you know good and well. Now, if you're like on the fence, okay, but if you good and well, you couldn't wait.
Yeah. And that's the tough part, where it's like you don't really know if a director has it in their mind or how their scores are judged, if they have a heavier weighted score than all the rest of the judges. But if you know you're going to tank somebody because you just don't want to see them come back, like, I just think there's kind of, just the right thing to do. So Nicole, I did a terrible job of introducing you to everybody, so I apologize. Nicole R. Smith, you are a published author, professional cheerleader. Tell us a little bit about yourself and why I called you the auditions queen.
Yeah. So I got this crazy dream in my head that I'm a professional cheerleader, and once I drank the Kool-Aid, that was it. So I would say almost like 14 or 15, 16 years later, after 23 different auditions, I got cut many times. And but I did finally make 4 teams. I did 1 pro and 3 semi-pro, and I wouldn't change it for the world. And it was one of those things where you get so close and you're like, this is what it. And I did MLS, which I absolutely loved, and protein is a protein, but it's NFL is like Rebecca, just because you have just 10 times more opportunities. And when you say I was a pro cheerleader and they are doing MLS, and they're like, isn't that like a house listing? And you're like, no. That was NFL, and everybody knows you do NFL.
Right.
And if you watch football, enough to know I don't watch it. You know what it is.
Right.
So in that, I have been rejected from just about every situation. I could almost say every situation until this virtual situation. And I because of like things that were going on in my life, I wasn't really able to audition just because of injuries and all that kind of stuff around. I was just like, dang it. The one time, not saying I've definitely gotten rejected, but it would have been interesting to go through the process, because I could tell you all sorts of scenarios, all sorts of, just about anything. I got you, you name it.
Right.
Name it all.
And we all know how tough like the process of being cut is, especially when you're going after your dream. And I just thought it was really cool, and I appreciate that you reached out, to me, just because that you took a situation. I won't say like an opportunity, but you took a situation and created such an awesome positive out of it. And choosing to write about your experience. I understand you've also done public speaking around it. So it's just, talk to me a little bit, and everybody who's listening, about kind of what inspired you to write the book. And we'll save we've had our interview already, but we'll share more about your book in the episode, but just give people a little preview of what inspired you to write it. I love that I'm drinking. I'm sorry. I'm like, and then I'm just like gulping this down.
So what inspired me, honestly, it was about, I don't know, at my 15th audition. And you guys know, right? Because you can only audition for, you can only do 2 or 3 auditions maybe a year, right? And then that's if you're doing different teams. So that's like NFL, NBA, and maybe like hockey or something, or MLS, so
right.
a good 4. If I'm doing 23, you have to imagine how many years that is consecutively of doing this. It got so much to the point where it became a part of my routine of my life, like over a decade. It'd be like, okay, and everybody knew.
Season.
Yeah, it's like between January and February. Nicole's not eating this. Nicole's not doing. I was always in my life, always. So it became a part of who I was, even though I never made a team. It still was a positive thing for me because it kept me focused with something to go after, to continue to make me want to take care of myself. So I benefited regardless if I made the team or not. Okay, until the cut, and then I was like binging for a week, but we're not talking. Okay, so it was like, I don't know, 15, 16, I don't know, some large number of the audition, and it was getting to the point where I was starting to get, I don't want to say numb to the cut, because you never really get over it, but the more and more it happens, it doesn't hurt as much, right? And I was at an audition, and this girl got cut, and she walked out of the room, and she's first in the director, and I was like,
wow.
Wow. Like, first of all, if you're going to do that, wait till you get to your car, because there's eyes everywhere. There's still staff, and they remember things. They remember you the next year. They remember everything. So if you think they're not watching, even after the cut, they are watching.
For sure.
So, but I would just see girls be devastated. I would see girls scream. I would see girls just flat out stop. I would see them take it personal and be like, oh, I'm not a good answer, or I'm not this, and I'm not that. Like, whoa.
Yeah.
No, that is so not true. At the very least, maybe you are not the right fit for this team this year.
Right.
Because I auditioned 5 times, 6 times, 7 times, and make it on the 5th, 6th, or 7th try for the same. So it does not have anything to do with you are not enough. So I was just like, and part of the reason why I kept going back to audition is because I was like, I'm going to make NFL. And then when I do, I'm going to be able to go and encourage people and talk to them about it. And then on my, I think for NFL, it might have been my 12th rejection after making it to final 2 or 3 times, I think, too. I was like, there's a good chance I may not make it. And if that's the case, because now, I'm in my 40s now. So I'm like, I don't know how much of this more in me I got. I got to take care of my kid, and I got a career and stuff that's taking over, So, but I've always said that so long as I am in good health and have the ability to do it, I will continue to show back up. But I was like, okay, so let's just take worst case scenario. What if I never do make a team? Am I still going to be able to encourage people? Am I still going to be able to just, talk to them and be that encouragement? And so what I decided to do is, instead of the book being about, because everybody usually always hears about the person who made it and the thing they had to do to make it.
Yeah.
So I was like, be a different spin. And you're going to read about, I'm still in it and I haven't given up.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll all get there together. And you'll help. I'll be able to help people who are still going through the process, who haven't quite made it yet. Because I have to be honest with you, hearing from women who have made the team, like on first or second try, whatever, or just have even made it that high. Oh, you could do it. Da, 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 da. Well, 90% of us haven't gotten there. And so
the numbers, that's just the flat out numbers of it all. Like there's the people that actually make the teams is just a very, very, very small percentage of who actually does it. Yeah, for sure.
When we would go to prep classes, right? And obviously it's usually taught by the girls with the team and, and you're asking them questions, but it's all coming from the perspective of people who have made the team. So I wanted to be the perspective of, well, I haven't made it yet. But I want to encourage you to keep going, because if I can keep going, then you keep going. And eventually one of us is going to make it. Yeah. And so I wanted a different perspective and not always hearing from somebody who's already made it, but hearing from somebody in the trenches, just like you, feels just like you, has been disappointed just like you, hurts just like you, is frustrated just like you, but got up one more time.
Yeah, because it's just that one more time that can end up being like that life-changing experience for you. I mean, definitely felt like the year that I made it was the year that I was about to be like, you know what, forget it. Like, it's your loss and I'm done, just because of having that. I don't like rejection, you know what I mean? And I'm not going to keep putting myself through it if I really do believe that I'm worth it and I'm good enough. And if you don't want to recognize me for what I feel like I bring to the table, then at a certain point, you know what I'm saying? It's just like, I'm moving on. And I definitely can relate to wanting to reach people who are in that space, because it can knock you down so low, frick, like, because you've just been building yourself up as best you can this whole time to get ready for auditions. And so you're running on adrenaline, you feel really good. And then you're just so confused and at a loss and blindsided by the just like the cut with no, feedback or no communication where you can make sense of it and process it. Like, I wish there was just like a evaluation form that all the damn judges had to fill out and that they had to give to you, because you at least can get something that you can process. When you're just processing the no and nothing else with it, it can just make you plummet. You're up here and then it's just like, you know what I mean? But the beauty in it is you don't have to stay there. I mean, it's a process, but you don't have to stay in that space.
You don't have to stay there. And especially, it's super difficult when you're like, when you beat yourself up, like, oh, well, I didn't have shoot, that chick didn't have her double. How she make it? And you're like, oh, well, I didn't have this, and everything that you see in you that you didn't have, which could have fucked the team, you go back and look and be like, well, that chick didn't have it either, and that chick, so how? So what was it about me that I didn't? And just and then you start comparing, and it's the whole, So then it's just, you were saying the year that I made it. For the Houston Dynamo in 2007, original team. What? Okay. Dynamo goes. I wasn't going to go to the audition. I had auditioned 4 times for both NBA and NFL and had been rejected. I had gotten either double rounds or had made it finals and all, and I was like, I can't do this anymore. Like, I'm emotionally, I can't handle it. And I ended up working at a radio station, and my boss was like, hey, aren't you a dancer? And I was like, well, kind of. Sure. Like, it wasn't something that I would tell people about because, you don't want to have it all on blast, especially if it doesn't work out. Yeah.
I know the whole thing. Like, it's like, sure, you want to tell people, you want all the good positive vibes, but you're also like, I don't want to have to tell everybody what happened when they're all like waiting to hear that I made it and I didn't. Ugh.
Especially then it turns into you have to console them instead of dealing with your hurt, because they're like, what do you mean you didn't make it? Like, sometimes you've already come to grips with it and they're all upset. So now you're pulling them for you not making the team. You're like, this is too much. Like, no.
I will never forget when I freaking had to like comfort my kids because they were watching it online and they were so upset when I made it home, and I'm like trying to just tell them like, it's okay and don't cry, and it was just so, oh my goodness. It's you're comforting your mama who's just like, you are the best thing since sliced bread, and what is wrong with them? Do I need to email her? All of those things. Like, yeah. Yes.
Wasn't even not going to go. I think they had given me the flyer, and the audition was like in a week or 2 or something like that. I was not going to go with them. So I did not decide to go until the night before. night before, I was like, you know what? What's the worst that could happen? Get cut again. And then, long story short, I made it.
So when you wrote the book, you were really wanting to, what's been the feedback that somebody commented in here, so I don't want to like miss anybody, but they said Game On is a great and inspirational book. Thank you for writing about your experience that pertains to so much more than just cheerleading, but life as well. So, I mean, I think that's something that people probably need to kind of absorb, that all of this training, it's not just dance, you're going to go for different jobs in your life, and you're going to go through different rounds of interviews. And this is all just like life skills building. And, who knows how long the hell we're going to be in a pandemic. You might be doing plenty of Zoom interviews. So going through this process, you're probably learning, about the presence that you want to have come across on video to make sure you get that job that you really want. It's not just dance. And I think, your book sounds like it helps people kind of make that correlation to what they would have gained from maybe experiencing rejection, as well as just going through the auditions and kind of believing in yourself when nobody else will, just building yourself back up again, like all those things that is just a life lesson flat out. Like I would hate for anybody to let, an auditions process break their spirit. Like that's the part that that just gets to me. I don't want anybody to stay in that space of feeling broken, like you're not good enough. Yes, there may be things to work on, but it's not a reflection on you and your self-worth. Period, point blank, end of story. Yeah.
But so many girls would get that confused.
Yeah.
And I would over and over and over, and I would just want to go up and give them hugs, but they just got cut, so they don't want to talk to nobody, which I get.
For sure.
I just was like, I want to encourage people and just like, hey, again, even if you didn't make it this time, come back again, try again. People are always leaving the team. Sometimes it's a new director who's looking for a new. You just don't know.
For sure.
No, you just never know. The only way for you to know about that is for you to show up and then get cut. That's the only way. Or show up and then you make it. But have like no regrets. Like leave nothing on the table, because you don't want to be a person who's just like, you know what? I probably could have made it this year, but
you know what I'm saying? Or just like, you just don't want to you don't want to give up on yourself, because it's just like, once that happens, that's when you really have counted yourself completely out of the ball game. And it's, it really takes, it starts in here in terms of like doing like a self inventory of like all that you've learned, the hard work that you've put in, and this thinking, maybe even outside of the box of like other teams that might be a better fit for you. Because you just don't want to limit yourself either by not showing up at all, or, getting cut and deciding not to show up again, or not trying for another team. And it's just something that I know there's, a lot of people in your lives that'll build you up and kind of like make you feel okay again. But there's so many people who walk away from dance because they just don't really, they count themselves out. And yeah.
The ones that are hard for me are the ones who really don't have that support, whose parents or girlfriend or boyfriend is like, I see, told you,
yeah.
And have that reinforcement of, and especially because they don't understand what's going on. And, the girl who is auditioning maybe doesn't necessarily have the reinforcement to help her understand, so that she starts believing them.
Right.
And, and like I said, I mean, when I say I've seen everything, I've seen everything. So I've seen auditioned like 3 or 4 times for NBA, and they're like, screw it. So, for NFL, and then go audition for NBA and make NBA and stay on that team for like 6 and 7 years.
Yeah. There's people that come on for that too.
Or just a different, sometimes if you have, and that's one of the things that I loved about the virtual auditions this year, that you had an opportunity.
You have a pro for us? Is that what you're saying? You have like a pro to share about virtual auditions after everybody slammed it?
Opportunity to try out for every team you wanted to, and you didn't have to leave out for that was holding the audition. Whereas that's not really a thing, if like for me, it's challenging to leave to try to go somewhere else to make another team. here. My job is here. My man is here now. Hey,
Okay.
play into it. And I don't necessarily have the job that I could just up and go and, whatever, have that kind of job, which is great. I don't. So I'm kind of limited to do. But hey, if I could, know that I have a good and have that opportunity. Why not?
Yeah.
Whereas it wasn't even a consideration because, sadly, you can only do either, and you hope that maybe they have maybe one or two teams, and maybe some people I know have made teams driven 2 hours to and from practice, but it was because it was worth it to them.
Right.
So that was definitely one positive about the virtual auditions, but just knowing and understanding you have to mix it up. I've seen people try out for certain particular NFL teams and then move to another state and try out for that, make it.
Yeah.
And I've also seen vice versa. I've seen people who've been on a team for 3 or 4 years, move down to another state, try out, and don't make it.
Mind blown, right? Because you're like, wait, I have this pro experience. What the hell are you talking about? Like, you just don't know.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, tell us about like the pity party program, because I think I don't want anybody cutting people off, and I want to make sure that you have a chance to give people a preview of what that's about, and it'll be a great way for everybody to kind of just have some options and support for getting through these next few, because at some point in July, I'm assuming it's June 30th, teams will make a decision at some point soon, right, of what they're doing, and there will be cuts. And I just think people hearing about what you have going on will be maybe a good resource for them.
Yeah. So they call them cuts for a reason, because they hurt, right? So I feel like my pity parties are like the Neosporin for audition cuts.
Neosporin.
It's soothing. It helps you get through it. It helps you heal. And pity is spelled P-I-T-T-E, so not P-I-T-Y, but what it stands for is pulling it together through encouragement. And basically what it is, that's an opportunity. I walk people through, this is how we're going to get through this, right? So you got cut. Let's talk about it. Let's process through the feelings. Don't hold it in. Don't go home kicking your dog, blowing up at your man, being mean to your mama. Although I could never be mean to my mother, or I would never have teeth. So, there's always a line that where you can cross. But just just going through that, because the thing is, it's a lot easier now, but even still, when I go for audition, I get cut. It's still like, okay, I just go through the 5 steps a lot faster.
Mm-hmm.
But let me tell you, the first time I was cut, like, oh my gosh.
Life is over.
I ate everything that I wanted for like 7 days straight, which is not a good look when by the time you're done. I was crying, was moping. I couldn't body about it. It was tragic. Really didn't have, I did have some friends to go through with it, but there's certain people, if they're not going through it with you, they don't understand. And it's that whole thing, if they couldn't see it in you, then they didn't need you anyway. I don't understand what the big deal is. And it's like, no, I get that from you right now, because you don't get it. You don't understand.
Yeah. Because people start to question your goal in the first place, is really what happens. Yeah. And when you're having to defend your dream to people, it's like, why am I even talking to you? Like, you do not freaking get it. But, like, you're just, thank you, but no thank you, in terms of your shoulder to lean on. Yeah. And
so I started doing the pity parties, because what it is, it's just basically what I'll do is I just kind of talk through the process. Like, come on, this is what we're going to do. We're going to talk through it, walk through it, get through it. And then afterwards, like, if you want to stay on even longer, then what we do, it's almost literally like a venting. Like, what did you see that frustrated you? You just don't understand. And this is the time where you just talk about the experience, and you talk about stuff that you just don't understand. Like the time when I went to an audition and I spent like, I don't know, $150 on my weed, and it was just right. And they took the girl who had a mohawk, haircut, shaved, and this is all she had. And I was like, what?
You never know.
What? I'm like, what? And they took, you know, but it taught the lesson of learning to be authentically myself. Because if they wanted me because of who I was, instead of trying to give them what I thought they wanted.
Mm-hmm.
Lesson learned.
We're all guilty of that. Let's be real, of like trying to like judge from the pictures that you see of the roster, and you make adjustments of what you think they want to see, and you do some tweaking.
You know, you look like, okay, I look just like her, and it's her last year, and my hair, I'm gonna be her exact replacement. You know?
Yeah.
Crazy. So, and the funny thing about it is, all of these things that we're talking about, it's funny that you had mentioned that earlier, was that it is like what in terms of talking about the book, it's not really necessarily about cheerleading. It's whatever your goal happens to be. You just have to keep getting up and going after it. And I was doing some interview review session day at work with a lady, and it was so funny because I kept bringing up auditions, and I was like, I know I keep talking about her, however, it really relates. When you go into that interview, be 1,000% yourself. Don't try to put on what you think. Be you. And people, you know, you want them to pick you based upon who you are, not who you gave them the impression that you were. Because now they might be picking you for the impression of who you are, and that impression of person can't handle the job. But that's a whole other story. So yes, life lessons. And so and we just kind of talk through it. And then I have a workbook that we literally work through it together. And I ask you specific questions, and you write them down, and then we talk about it and kind of just go through the whole healing process together with other people who have been through it. We're going to completely what you are talking about. And it's a safe space, and you're not going to be judged. And it's just beautiful.
Yeah, well, because I think people need, it's just a sense of support. You know, you'll have like, if you are a veteran, you'll have like your teammates and, you know, maybe your family or your support system. But sometimes it's really, I mean, if I were in everybody's shoes and kind of was going through this process and kind of, and again, I'm older, so my whole perspective is probably just different. But I think there's just a lot of value in having some like objective feedback. Because when you're in audition prep mode and you've maybe paid somebody to help you get ready, everybody's pumping you up. Everybody's seeing the best in you. Maybe they're giving you some like tough criticism, but they're also very much on your team and wanting to see you win. And it's almost just like in the debrief space where it's just like, you know what, we're going to try to like set our feelings to the side and just look at this as a collective group of support for one another, and like basically help. But maybe it's just looking at footage too of like what your audition submission videos were like. Somebody sent me their video for their auditions process. They sent me the first 2 submissions and just wanted, because you're just so confused. Like you don't have any idea why you're cut. You're just trying to make sense of it. You feel like you did good. You've been looking at this damn video that you submitted so many times that you can't see it anymore. You know what I mean? And I gave like my complete outsider, brand new, fresh eyes to it. But I think in that space, if you have like a good support group that you can kind of give collective feedback of like what they see in you, like both just like great positives, and then like, ooh, if I, you know, and looking at this, maybe I would work on that. And I don't know if that's part of your pity party. I'm not trying to, but I just think people can people can benefit from just kind of having a debrief with people who get it, but a different set of people from who they've been going through the audition prep process with. You know what I mean? That's kind of at least what I'm kind of gathering.
And the beautiful part about it is you don't have to be, and it's, you can be in a selfish place and feel bad, and you don't have to worry about how the other person feels, right? Because sometimes, even if, let's just say after the first day, you still feel bad or whatever, but you don't want to make your boyfriend feel bad because, you know, because I feel bad because you feel bad. And so you kind of like hide it.
Yeah.
So you're kind of hiding it, and you're dealing all by yourself, but you're really hurting and you want that outlet. But the people you're talking to, you can't, you know,
you can't fully go there, or your friends that are actually on the team that made it when you didn't. You can't really talk to them the way that, because you don't want them to feel guilty about making it. Yeah, Brittany and I were separated, my best friend, like after my rookie year, and it was really, you know, you have that line of like, I know she knew I was hurting, but I didn't want to like tarnish her good time because I was excited for her. And so you're definitely, there is a lot of that, like, hide your feelings, swallow them, eat them, drink them, kind of, you know, not process them. Yeah.
So this is a safe space for all who have rejected, but rejection is an amazing thing. It builds character. You know, you're not going to get through life without it. And the thing is, all the stuff that I've learned from this has taught me so much for every other area of life. Like, I wouldn't have the book and wouldn't have become a motivational speaker and all these other things had I not been rejected so many times. Because let me tell you, had I made the team that first, second, or third year, I would have been like, cool, that's it. I would have never seen anybody else. I would have never seen the pain that these people were in. But because year after year after year after year after year, rejection after rejection after rejection in so many different ways, in person, over the phone, in front, behind, you know, in all sorts of ways.
Calling you into a room, like, oh, there's so many ways.
Girl.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
Been through all of them except the virtual way. That wouldn't have put that burden in my heart to be like, I want to encourage people to do this. I want to encourage them to keep your dream. The only person that's going to hurt is you. The people cutting you ain't thinking about you. They go into bed and they go.
They've moved on. Yeah, they've moved on. Yeah. So true.
The trajectory of your life has changed. I'm saying don't give up until you have made the decision that you don't want to do this anymore. Do not give up because you do not think you're good enough or any of those things, because that is absolutely not true. Absolutely.
And that's the power, like, honestly, like, I mean, I know I was all up in my feelings talking a bunch of shit earlier, but the bottom line is no matter how auditions go for anybody, you have the choice that you can make. I've seen Neely join. We were just talking about this last night, but like, you get to make a choice about where you go from here. You're either going to stay in a funky ass place about it, have a bad attitude, and just carry that with you forever. Like, yeah, you know, like, you don't want that negativity in your life. So it's like a way of just letting that go and deciding where you really want to go from there. Is this dream that important to you? How bad do you want it? What are you willing? What work are you willing to put in? And once you commit to that, you go for what the hell you want. Period. Point blank. And like, when you start building yourself up and you know, kind of like, you get a better sense of like, this is what I actually freaking bring to the table. Like, I'm, you know, like, you start feeling yourself a little bit in terms of like, because you know you put the work in. So then it's kind of like, wait a minute now, you can't, I'm going to come up here and show you what I got. And you can't tell me, you know, you can't tell me anything. And if you don't want it, I'm okay. And I'm going to actually just go take my talents to South Beach. I'm just saying, like, but you're going to figure out that you have the power to choose, you know, when the fat lady has sang on this whole vision and dream of doing it. I completely believe that.
It got to the point where I started taking and that's where the game on comes from. It got to the point where I started taking it as a challenge. Oh, rejected again. Oh,
yeah.
First couple of like, oh, and then I was like, oh, you rejected? I'm coming back. I'm gonna keep coming back to your time.
Right.
To the point, the last audition that I went to, that I was healthy enough to go to, the director asked me, and she was like very nice about it. She meant it, like, she meant no evil. Like, why did he keep coming back? She was like, I was just shocked. She's like, you know, why do you keep coming back? And I was like, I have no good.
You said what?
So I said I had no good reason not to come back. I have my health. I have my strength, capable of doing it. There are some women who, you know, or they could be like me now, like if injured, go, or just many other things are preventing going. And if I didn't have any preventing me, then how dare I? I mean, I didn't say it like that, but
more or less. No, but that's good. And that's a source of like the strength that you build up after you picked yourself back up enough times, and knowing that life is going to throw you some freaking curveballs. And I keep telling, you know, people that I talk to just that, and again, it was kind of the theme of last week's episode, but just that It's really just kind of like finding a way of being at peace. I mean, there's like, it's an ebb and flow of like the fight for what you want, go hard in the paint, like don't take no for an answer, rah, 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 rah. And then there's also just like that quiet still of listening to what your inner voice really truly wants. Like, are you doing this because you really truly want it? Or is your heart in the right place? And I just think it helps you become at peace with making certain decisions of like, it's okay to walk away and doing it where it's on your terms and you feel good about your decision and that you have your head held high about it and you don't feel like you left anything that you could regret later. You've given it your all, you've tried. And really just like, I think your book is probably just going to be really helpful just for people to think, if you can kind of like take certain lessons and apply it to your broader life, because this can easily become so consuming, like all consuming, that you forget about other ways that the lessons that you learn can be applied to other parts of your life. And I just think that it's just trying to like step outside of the world and not to have the right perspective on what's happening right now. Maybe if you've been cut right now, there's an amazing job opportunity that's coming your way that you wouldn't have been able to foresee, and it'll make sense later. Or maybe something's going on with your family and they'll need you to be around and you'll need to have time and space to be able to be with them. You never know, but just being open to kind of like what the universe might be telling you is really meant for you. Because I think what really is truly for you will be there. And it's not a matter of like fighting. You know what I mean? It'll come together at the right time when it's supposed to. And I just think a program like yours and just, people can always write in to me too. And I mean, I'm always here to listen to anything and everything that people could be going through on any level. But I love just the idea of people connecting, and we have a long road ahead of us, I think, with this whole virtual Rona issue. And so rather than kind of plummet into this dark space over the summer of feeling defeated and like, like your dream is deferred and like the life is over, there's a way of pulling yourself through it and kind of recentering and forming friendships and just a group of people that know what you've been through. Because it is difficult if you don't have people in your life that really can relate to what it is that you're striving for and why it hurts you so deep and all of those things and why you've been sacrificing. Like, because it's been a sacrifice. Yep. Everybody who's been going through this process has been sacrificing their ass off for months, months on end. So,
I want to eat a hot dog. Let me know. I want a hot dog.
Right. I'm going to read this comment from somebody. And I'm only being incognito because nobody really wants to be, on my episode. So it's not that I'm not giving you credit. But someone said, you never know how people can affect your life. The director of the team I'm auditioning for got a call from, hold please, it went away. Got a call from my new job. Why does it keep disappearing? Hold on. Geez Louises. Okay. Again, you never know how the people can affect. Okay, every single time I read it, it freaking goes away. The director of the team I'm auditioning for got a call from my new job when I was interviewing about me. She told me about it at the clinic this year. Oh, so that's just saying that, like, you never know what this auditions process will kind of connect you to for other things. So if you're, auditioning or applying for another job, and just different ways of things connecting and coming together. And what if it's a dream job that you didn't even know you wanted or needed, that comes your way that you really couldn't have balanced both cheering and that new job with. So I totally agree. Thank you for the comment that I struggled like hell to read, but just, you never really know why you're put in certain situations, who you're going to meet, what you're going to learn, how it's going to help you later in life. And I just think that being open to that and being willing to talk it through and connect with people so that you can learn better, because if it's all bottled up inside of you, there's a chance that you're going to miss some really key lessons about what this all was for. We're where we're supposed to be. We may not know all of the answers right now, but talking it through helps you be like, oh shit, I wouldn't have thought about that. Like, or and looking, yeah.
There's nothing like doing it. Somebody who knows exactly what you're going through, because you can talk to, I mean, even somebody who has gone through like the audition process in general, like not necessarily like NFL or I'm not like pro cheer.
Mm-hmm.
There's just even something a little, there's it's still that little twist because, you know, pro cheer auditions are a very unique thing. It's its own beast. And
For sure.
through it, just, you know, I don't know, but being able to relate to somebody who's absolutely good. And I don't care semi-pro level to the pro level to the, you know, if it's hockey, that, you know, whatever it is, because it's essentially the same. There's some pro team, semi-pro team auditions, you know, because they were run by people who were on pro team, but like just as hard as pro team auditions. It wasn't just like they were like, don't come and get twisted just because it's semi-pro. They were like, it's semi-pro, but we're getting you ready for the real thing.
Yeah.
So my semi-pro doesn't mean half the fun, you know, or that it's.
No, that's so true. That's so true. I think there's just other opportunities in dance, and hopefully cross our fingers, right, with the Rona, that there will be seasons in other sports at some point once people figure out what they have to do to make it safe. But it's just something to keep in mind. You know, you don't have to necessarily sit out a whole year of dancing for a team if you can keep in mind the other sports leagues that have cheerleaders, because it's not just the NFL, just the NBA.
Right. Right. Yep.
There's a comment here I just want to read, and I think this is Janine, I'm assuming, from Sideline Prep. Hello, gorgeous ladies. What a great discussion. Thanks so much for sharing your stories and thoughts with the pro cheer community. Pity Party, love it. And yes, Game On is an amazing read. So, yay. No, I encourage everybody to just take the time that you need. If you're experiencing cuts, wherever you are in this goddamn virtual auditions process, we acknowledge your effort. We can see what you've all been trying to do to get through it and excel and thrive in it. Congrats to everybody who's made the teams. For people who have not, this has just been an extremely challenging process. You know, the numbers have doubled, tripled in terms of applicants. It's just been a different beast this year, but I think there's a community that supports you. And I love just seeing us all come together and talking about it, because it is a topic in and of itself that can probably go on for another couple of hours around just how we move through it, and like how we don't take this one no and let it dictate how we're moving in our next steps. Because I hope people watch that You're Worth It video that I ended up coming across scrolling around, but you just can't forget who you are and what you bring to the table. And maybe being a part of like the Pity Party or reading your book or just reaching out to people in this space will help you kind of reset and remember that you're the shit. Like, look at what you've done. You know, you've grown, you've learned, you've blossomed. You know, you don't have to be perfect. You just have to be you, and figuring out what you want to do to move forward from here, what you want to work on, and what you want to, you know, how you want to move. Because it's not over until you until you decide. It's not.
Exactly. You make the decision. Do not let somebody else call it quits on your dream for you. Absolutely not. Do not give anybody that kind of power. Do not do that.
Don't do it. Just period, point blank. Like, it's just the theme in general. I think don't let anybody mistreat you. Don't let anybody bully you. Speak up, use your voice, get the help that you need. Just working on yourself, and then like love yourself enough to know what you bring to the table, where if they don't see it, then it's not you. That's not a reflection on you. I mean, you know, learn what you can from the situation, take constructive criticism, learn from it, and then keep it pushing. And you have people that are in your corner that are willing to listen and help you grow from it, period. I don't know.
And it's the growth and the things that you learn and people will ask me about stuff in my professional world, and I'm like, yo, pro cheerleading got me. Even just preparing for the auditions will get you ready for life. Interviews, you know, I opportunity, like I said, all these rejections, writing the book which led me to an speak in front of 2,000 techie people about my like career stuff. But all of that was the result of 23 rejections.
Right.
It's like, just, I wouldn't take it back. It's made me the person who I am. It's given me opportunities I would have never would have thought that I would have had. It just, you know, it's a part of life, right? Great. So learn how to deal with it and move on that way, and learn it now. That way you don't go through life being that person who's walking around burdened and can't enjoy the rest of your life.
Exactly. Because there's so much more you can freaking do, period. Like it's just no limit. And I just want to say, I mean, I don't know where we are in time, and I'm scared that Instagram's going to start blinking and counting down, but just thinking of ways that you can also reach back. I mean, similar to how you decided you wanted to help people in writing your book, think about people who, you know, whether it's young girls as young as like the ones that would be in like our junior cheerleading programs, or girls that are in high school. I mean, there's just ways that you can probably give back to a community to help in that healing process as well. Like, I just think that you just being open-hearted to how you can be used for a better good, even with what you've been through, whether it was good or bad. It's just ways that you can inspire other people, because there's a lot of people who don't even know that they would have that dream of doing what you've even sought out to do. So there's just a whole generation of people behind you, long story short, that you can actually reach and touch to help them inspire to go towards that dream, and maybe prepare in a way that they wouldn't have known about. Like, we all know about what you got to do to prepare for these auditions, you know, at this point. But there's a whole group of people who have no clue, that would probably be very, very honored that somebody took an interest in helping their dreams come true, or helping them realize what's an option for them. You know, I'm thinking about like a bunch of high school cheerleaders out there who miraculously think that everything stops after college, you know, from watching the Cheer freaking documentary, and don't really think about or don't know the path of how to get there. So that's another way of kind of not like getting over yourself, but when you give back to others, it helps to heal some things that you know, and work through some pain. So it's just something to think about too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, if people don't have any other like, you know, comments before we kicked off, I just want to open the floor to them, and thank you so much, Nicole, for joining. I kind of am feeling the whole like IG live with somebody else kind of vibe. So if people want to ever join me, request me. Now that I know what I'm doing, I can share the floor. But I really appreciate you joining, and thanks for being patient through my rant earlier. Tara said, did I miss the tea? Girl, it's in part 1. The Trey Songz tea is in part 1. What'd you say?
Post these after, like,
I do. Yeah, so it'll be posted. I hope the audio's okay for me to grab this chat and putting it into the episode. Otherwise, I'll try to work with our prior chat before. But like I said, I think this is safe to say we got an episode about this whole thing. There is some tea in the beginning, but I just really hope that we all kind of come together and support one another and spread the word on how we can hold each other accountable. Like, I really hope that this is the one and only nasty tea that we have in our space of people acting ugly. We're not here for it. I'm not, period. Like, we're just not going to do that. We're absolutely not going to do that moving forward. So on a positive note, thank you so much for joining. And you guys, if you have any additional comments, hit me now before I close off or sign off or whatever. Thanks for putting up with me with my Prosecco for the evening. It was necessary. And I always have this awkward moment of waiting, but any other comments before we end the live session? Thank you so much for joining, you guys. I appreciate everybody again writing in, talking about what their experience was like with virtual auditions. And I'm proud of you all for hanging in there. And I think you've done a really good job under the circumstances. So round of applause to you. Yeah. Raise your glass. Yeah. Whether you got cut or not, you deserve to have some decompression time to kind of just relish in what all you've accomplished in this space and through some really trying times. So I'm proud of you. And I thank you all for watching and joining. And thank you, Nicole. Appreciate you.
Of course.
I will have links to everything that you discussed, whether it's your book on Audible, Game On, the pity party information. There will all be links in the episode, so people can find out more information. So I'll be sharing that for everybody to check out more information about it. So with that note, thanks for everybody on YouTube. I hope I didn't miss any comments here. People love your book already. Yay! Getting her book on Audible right now. So yay. People check it out. We'll share links and people can get all the information they need. And in the meantime, you know, say it again.
No, I wrote it to be super funny. So if you're like really going through it, just listen to it because at the very least you'll laugh a lot.
Yeah. Love it, love it. Okay, well, I'm gonna sign off. I'm going to maybe have one more glass. I don't know, but I love you guys, and this is like the last few episodes. Oh my God! So I'm going to finish up, like I said, the statement just in terms of final notes. Finish up the statement that I'm hoping will push. I love that there's a resource now to push these directors towards like some diversity and inclusion training, but that will be coming along with next week's episode. Fingers crossed there might be one more episode that I can get out of there, just to leave on an extra good note for this little break hiatus that I take during the summer. But love you guys. I hope to see you next week for Cheer Chat. Now I got to turn everything off, but I love you guys. You guys have a good one, okay? Thank you so much, Nicole.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you so much for joining. Appreciate you all. If you have any questions, I'm happy to cover them. Otherwise, I'm going to end the live stream. I'm just catching up on all your yes. Thank you. You guys, hopefully I'll see you next week for Cheer Chat for next week's episode. Bye.